Testosterone levels can make you feel tired, grumpy, cause lack of motivation, and drive. It can also raise your cholesterol, cause weight gain, and loss of muscle mass. Go to lowtcenter.com now to book your appointment. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
The Good Neighbor Network, FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and online at WGNSradio.com. This is the Roundtable. A look at the news, views, politics, and people that are shaping Rutherford County.
Good morning. This is Bill Krause on a wonderful Thursday morning as we're rapidly entering into the fall season. We'll begin to see the leaves turn, the night's a little cooler, and we still have some warm weather, but that's norm for September. It's really going to be an interesting discussion this morning, basically for those of you who have been in Murfreesboro a long time or a short time, because what happens downtown and the changes of downtown Murfreesboro will have a direct impact and effect on each and every person who calls Murfreesboro their home. We have two gentlemen from the city, two experts from the city, two men who are both very, very committed and dedicated to their objectives and to their work and to their efforts. Beginning with Councilman Kurt Wade. Good morning, Kurt.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. And we have Sam Huddleston, who just was promoted to become the Assistant City Manager of the City of Murfreesboro. How long have you been with the city, Sam?
Good morning, Bill. 23 years, almost 24 coming November.
Wow. And Kurt, you're on your which term?
Second term.
Second term. Election coming up when?
2024.
Oh, it's just a little over a year away. Time passes fast, especially when you're having fun. Well, this morning we want to talk about the future of downtown Murfreesboro. Murfreesboro prides itself with the square, prides itself with a city that's confident of its future as well as very proud of its past. So whether it's Kurt or Sam, or you both can jump in, very informal conversation. Talk about downtown Murfreesboro.
You want me to start off and then I'll let you kick in?
Sure.
Okay. Well, you know, one of the things about downtown is we've got a very unique downtown with the courthouse sitting in the middle of downtown. And it's a very, very nice and attractive downtown. And one of the things when Joseph Alott was there and I came on to Planning Commission in 2014 was he wanted to change the complexity of downtown, and changing the complexity of downtown means changing. He wanted more people to live downtown, work downtown, and
walk downtown.
Mm-hmm. And we have still stuck with that concept, and we're just now trying to make that happen. We've done some things downtown to get people to move downtown, but we have not done anything of this magnitude that we approved of last week. And when I say magnitude, I'll let Sam talk about the project that we approved. But we want a vibrant downtown, where people are walking, people enjoying. What we have downtown now is people work from 8 to 5 o'clock. Usually our downtown is pretty dead. Mm-hmm. But if you go to most cities that are thriving and growing, their downtown is prospering and they're growing leaps and bounds.
Including on the weekends.
Including on the weekends. Mm-hmm. And so that's basically what we're trying to do. And we're trying to give entertainment. We want our people to enjoy the entertainment here in Murfreesboro, where you don't have to go to Nashville, you don't have to go to Franklin or wherever you want to go. We can have some things here to do. And so that's what trajectory we've been on, and that's what we're trying to do. I think you'll see a big change, and I think people will be really proud. We're not trying to take anything away from downtown because we like our downtown. Mm-hmm. We're just trying to add something to it. And
it's giving a character, retaining the character,
exactly,
yet becoming very vibrant with a same character.
Exactly. And then we also have to realize we have a university town, and we've got young people. They want to live downtown. And they want to work downtown. They don't want a backyard. They don't want a yard. They want to live where they work and just walk out their door and go to restaurants. And so those are some of the things that we try to incorporate here and we're trying to do. And I'll let Sam talk about what we're trying to do.
So continuing with Kurt's looking back at some of the original vision for the downtown. we took some of that, organized a study, and we actually, Bill did a study, a future land use study for the historic bottoms, which is generally going to be the area west of Broad Street from City Hall, and then the North Highlands area. And those were concurrent studies. They were started in 2016. They included a steering committee as well as good stakeholder and community engagement. And the end result of that was two documents that we use now as a roadmap for the downtown, and it identified a lot of the things that Councilman Wade brought up, the residential living, the potential food and beverage and entertainment opportunities to work, live, work, play, really in the same area. And in our community, post World War II, like most communities, got very connected to the automobile, and where we walked and did limited travel earlier than that. Everything became similar zoning. So housing was in an area, and industrial was in an area, and commercial was in an area, and government services was in an area. You went to school somewhere you had to drive to. You went to shop and work somewhere you had to drive to. So we're very married to the car. And this old concept that's becoming new again, really to have a walkable, live, work, play downtown is very important. I think one of the things that we did, as I think most good plans would do, is they have a vision, but that vision also has a basis in reality. And what we use to help us measure the practicalness of our plan was an economic market analysis. We might have the vision for something like Walt Disney World downtown, but that's not very practical.
Correct. You don't have any Donald Ducks or Mickey Mouses.
That's right.
Gotcha.
And we're just not, and Walt Disney World may be a great place, but it's not the right vision for our downtown. And so we had the vision of the downtown, and then we checked the market, and the market said that there was a demand for downtown residential. Nearly 1,000 new units was projected from that 2017 study. Projected a modest amount of downtown office and a modest amount of downtown retail, but the real driver was probably the residential market. At last week's meeting, as we discussed the merits of the Broad Street, the Keystone Project, the Broad Street development, one of the questions came up: how many new downtown residential units have been built since we adopted that study? And I don't have the exact number, but it's less than 30 new residential units in
really
the downtown
just
area.
Drop in the pond.
That's correct. If there's a market for 1,000 and we've got 30,
it's not even a down payment.
That's right, and none of those are in really the sort of the core of downtown. They're really 3 or 4 blocks at a minimum off.
Yeah.
Yes. And we appreciate the investment that's coming in the downtown, renewing some of that housing stock and making, putting housing in that'll be there for 50 to 70 years like the previous housing. Those are all good things for us. We think we need some more of that.
The economic level of the housing, is it lower income, middle income, higher income? Is it geared for senior citizens? All of the above?
Well, so the market analysis did cover, affordable housing, workforce housing, and higher price points as well. And the market analysis really showed that there was a good demand in all of those areas, and certainly including the senior housing market. We've talked with our partners over at Mercerboro Housing Authority and some others about some senior living options, and there's some interest in that as well.
Well, the idea of seniors living in a consolidated area where walking is certainly encouraged for their health preservation, and that everything is so accessible to them, becomes an ideal goal.
Interesting, the Westbrook Towers, we get a lot of interaction and from the stakeholders there, and so they've asked, for example, sidewalk connectivity from where they're at to some of the shopping and dining locations close to them. And so right now it's not a very walkable area if you look at where Westbrook Towers is, and so to your point, having somewhere that they don't have to get on a bus, they don't have to have somebody to take them, or perhaps if they're still driving, they don't have to drive themselves. They can walk to dining, they can walk to the grocery store and get their grocery supplies for a few days. So those would all be things that we think would be follow-ons to the rooftops. The rooftops would bring the retail. The rooftops would bring some of the other things, entertainment, food, beverage. That
Define a rooftop.
I was just getting ready to tell you that, because most people are thinking rooftop, where they can go party at the rooftop.
Like
That's
downtown
not,
Nashville.
Yes, but that's not what he's talking
Okay,
about.
that's why I asked.
Yeah, so the residential residential growth would drive that, and our national chains that look at Murfreesboro for retail or dining, they know that the demand is there before they ever look at our city, right? So they're doing the demographic studies, they've done the market analysis, and they know if they put their retail establishment here that it will be successful because it meets all of their demographic criteria.
Is it all apartments or condominiums, combination?
Combination.
It would be a mix of all of that. And one of the things, and I think this is probably an area of discussion all the time with our mayor and council and planning commission, but one of the things that we've tried to identify are areas where residential density is appropriate. And the city core is an area where higher density residential is appropriate. We have services here. We can support the rooftops here. We can support the residents here. There's some parts of our community, say on the outskirts, where our ability to deliver services is limited, that high density is not appropriate.
Yeah, and I think what this project does too, and we're not just talking about just the Keystone project. We're going to talk about Murfreesboro in general, what's going on in our city. But with this Keystone project, it cleans up our city a little bit. What I've said all along is, when you come to our downtown needs to look vibrant. It needs to look good, and it needs to have
be young.
And it needs to have some kind of appeal. And we think, but with this Keystone project, it turns our city. This is a game changer, because what it does is it cleans up our downtown, and it makes it look good. And when it makes it look good, when I say that is, when you drive into our city, we want to see more than check, cash, and places. We want to see something different. We don't want to be that city with just check, cash, and places.
Pawn shops.
Pawn shops. And nothing against those.
Right.
But that's not who we want to be. And that's not who we want to represent Murfreesboro as well. But I think if we can do this, it's a game changer for the city. And then if we do the bridge over Broad, that's a game changer as well. You go back to when Medical Center was first built here. Everybody's like, oh, we don't need that. We don't need Medical Center. Medical Center has been a blessing to our city.
Yes, it has.
Because you know what? It gives us different outlets and different revenue ways to get around our city. And so that's been really good. And so once we develop another one like Cherry Lane, that would be just another outlet to get around our city. And as we continue to grow, I think what our staff has done, and they've done a really good job, is to really present ourselves and make our city more attractive. And to make our city more attractive is we've tried to work on different areas of making our town a lot better and a lot safer and a lot vibrant.
Well, Murfreesboro, the best way that I could describe it is a community of collections of neighborhoods. And you've got a lot of vibrancy in different parts, south and north, etc. So this becomes the core. This becomes the center of the vibrancy. And with the university to the east, and you've got everything blending into this. I guess I have to ask the most natural question: how will parking be?
Downtown parking.
Yes,
that's how it'll be. So, Mayor and Council were gracious enough to fund a downtown parking and mobility study. and that the first thing we did in that was just take an inventory of what's available downtown, and the public parking. And forgive me, my numbers may be off a little bit, but I think we have over 2,000 public parking spaces downtown.
Already.
That's owned or controlled by city and county. Now, not all of those are ultimately available for public parking, but they are owned by the government, which means that the decision makers for the city and county can then decide how those parking spaces can be utilized in our community. Narrowing in, for example, on a couple of those, we know that the Rutherford County Judicial parking garage, most mornings at the start of a court day, it's full. There are no vacancies in there, so we know there's a demand on the north side of the square. City Hall parking garage, however, after the police department moved out and we moved some of our other government services out, the demand for the parking in City Hall is actually down. We have about 600 spaces there, and our typical utilization during the day is 50% or less. So we have 300 available parking spaces here most any time of the day.
How has been the cooperation, interest, passion, I'll use the term, of the ownership of existing buildings in and around the square and downtown, looking forward to this opportunity to see, quote, a new chapter in downtown Murfreesboro?
So it's interesting that a lot of our buildings are owned by people who do not occupy them for their personal business. So they're investor owned or family owned, and that over time they have turned into maybe investment properties
Or trusts.
or different things. And so we have less engagement with the owners because a lot of times they're not in the downtown area. What we do interact with more often, though, would be the owners of the businesses that are tenants in those spaces. I think there's certainly a lot of interest at the city council meeting last Thursday night. For example, we had 5 people from the downtown community that spoke in favor of the Broad Street project and what they thought it would do for their particular interest and concerns. Kurt?
Yeah, I truly believe that downtown and the business owner and the merchants are excited about having something new come downtown. Because what was the last big venture that you had downtown?
Well, as far as big ventures, we the county sold the building there on the square. So we got a couple of food and beverage places that moved in there that just got open. But those were really interior renovations, and it was a pretty big deal for somebody to buy that building.
Yeah, but we've not had anything new like we're talking about within the last, 15, 20 years?
Yeah, Pinnacle tore down, rebuilt, the county judicial
That's another
building.
rebuild, but nothing new.
Nothing new.
Yeah.
And I think that the downtown right now is very government-centric.
Yep.
That the reason most people are visiting the downtown is to interact with the government.
Building, planning, county, et cetera.
Judicial, and a lot of our downtown business is driven by that. So county judicial, legal, right?
Yeah.
So
I always say county
offices
judicial people are not necessarily happy customers. They've left the court and they're not happy. They may not want to eat. They may not want to buy.
And they're here, they're here usually, sometimes under duress.
Yes,
And maybe it's their first time in a long time in visiting our downtown. And so maybe they're not familiar with it. Maybe they're not familiar with the parking. And so, Bill, I'm going to put another plug in for our mayor and council. They also funded a downtown wayfinding program. And so we have a wayfinding planning organization that's going to help us look at that so that we can sort of promote that visibility and moving around in our downtown area for people new to it.
Do you see any high-rise there? Of course, you've got the one large building that serves as the beacon from miles away to come to downtown. But do you see other high-profile buildings rather than 1 or 2 story?
So I would use the term mid-rise.
Okay.
Murfreesboro doesn't feel like it needs 15 to 20-story buildings. I think Murfreesboro's history and its architecture downtown deserves being celebrated, and it deserves being served and preserved and honored. And so when we look at projects, we want them to fit in that downtown vernacular. And so large, tall buildings really are somewhat out of character with that. And so the mid-rise, 3 to 5 stories, is probably where you're going to see a lot of our projects top out.
Yeah, and I would also say, Sam, too, with COVID changed a lot of this, where
Living
people
style.
are not building big buildings downtown like they used to, because a lot of people are working from home.
Right.
And even with going back after COVID, there's still a lot of people working from home, not in office buildings. So I don't think we're looking for a big tower building to come downtown anytime soon. No, if it happens, it has to be the right fit. But as far as right now, I think we like what we have downtown. We just want to add to what
Build
we
on
have,
it.
build on to what we have downtown. But we want to build on it with mixed use. And with that mixed use, we're bringing people downtown. We're bringing office space downtown. We're also bringing restaurants downtown and bringing people.
And adding to that, instead of being just so government-centric,
Yes.
that we create some other foundations and some other building or elements for our economic vibrancy. So we don't have all our eggs in the government services basket, bringing residential downtown, bringing retail downtown, employment opportunity. We'd love to be able to create some jobs in the downtown market. Some of that will be organic from the growth, but we're somebody wanting to look to relocate or grow their office presence downtown. We'd love to see that. And that just gives us a diversified economic base in the downtown market, so we're not just counting on government services.
We're having a delightful and a very, very informative visit with Kurt Wade, member of the City Council of Murfreesboro, and Sam Huddleston, recently appointed Assistant City Manager of the city, but certainly no stranger to Murfreesboro after being here well over 23 years. Certainly a landmark of Murfreesboro. We shall return in just a moment or two.
French's Shoes and Boots, your hometown store for boots, shoes, apparel, and more, is family-owned, and you'll always find friendly service with the lowest prices on the best brands. We know there's nothing worse than a boot that doesn't fit right, so come see us on South Church Street to get a great fitting on high-quality footwear. We've been outfitting Tennessee since 1903.
It makes good sense to shop at French's. French's Shoes and Boots.
1837 South Church Street in Murfreesboro.
Imagine all the hits you love in one collection. Live it up with favorites like, I won, did you hear me? I won! Or the timeless treasure, I just won $5,000! And who can forget the all-time classic, Look Who's Going on Vacation! Get your hands on the cash-loaded Hit Instant Games collection at your nearest Tennessee Lottery retailer. And let the good times roll. Only from the Tennessee Lottery. Game-changing fun. Please play responsibly.
Join Del Walmsley, one weekend only, September 9th and 10th, online or in person in Houston, Texas. Go to financialfreedomweekend.com and save your spot.
I'm going to be giving the first seminar I've given in 2 years, September 9th and 10th. During these 2 days, I'm going to teach you everything you need to know. In 2008 through 2009, when the marketplace did what it's doing right now, it's happening again. The numbers prove it out.
financialfreedomweekend.com.
This is Good Neighbor Events with Bart Walker. Brought to you by the law offices of John Day and AmeriCare Pest Control.
This is a paid legal ad.
When a family member is lost as a result of someone else's negligence, the grief can be unbearable. It also leaves you with a lot of questions like, how did this happen? Who's responsible? And is my family going to be okay? That's a lot to go through, but with the law offices of John Day on your side, you don't have to go through any of it alone. We understand what you're going through, and we have the experience to get the answers, justice, and compensation your family deserves. Call the law offices of John Day.
Now, WGNS Good Neighbor Events. It's time to light up the night against child abuse. This Friday night from 6 until 9, right there on the lawn at Oakland's Mansion. Guests dance under the stars. That's the Child Advocacy Center's Light Up the Night Against Child Abuse at Oakland's Mansion, 6 until 9 this Friday night. Get with the Child Advocacy Center for more information. And speaking of Friday night, the Friday Night Market and Food Truck Festival has a new location. It's over at the Patterson Community Center now, from 5 until 9 in the evening on every Friday night through the end of this month. And the Patterson Community Center is at 521 Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. The 21st annual Wings of Freedom Fish Fry will be at the Smyrna Airport this Saturday night from 5 until 9. Don't forget the farmers markets every Tuesday and Friday mornings from 7 until noon at the Lane Agri Park. And there are 2 farmers markets on Saturdays. One's on the Murfreesboro Square and the other's at the Smyrna Train Depot. Those are WGNS Good Neighbor events.
Good Neighbor weather.
We'll see mostly sunny skies here this afternoon with a high in the mid-80s. Northwest winds at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, partly cloudy, a low near 63. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Vujicic on News Radio WGNS.
Currently, it's 71.
Broadcasting from the Middle Tennessee Electric Studios, MTE Sharing Change has now donated more than $11 million to local nonprofits assisting worthy causes in our community. MTE, serving to make life better since 1936.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and worldwide at WGNSradio.com.
Here we are again, Bill Krause on the round table with what is very fascinating and informative and certainly very, very relevant to the future of Murfreesboro and this community. And we're very pleased to have with us Councilman Kurt Wade from the Murfreesboro City Council and Sam Huddleston, who's now the Assistant City Manager of Murfreesboro. Before we get into a lot of the new attractions that Kurt wants to share with us, I'd like to ask a couple of questions more on the project. Can you go, if possible, almost not necessarily block by block, but segments of the downtown that you see change? And I'm saying this from a personal standpoint. Here we are at WGNS, and we're right in the middle of that area of change.
So for the Keystone Project, that really covers the area along Broad Street, between South Church Street and West Vine Street, behind City Hall, behind the library, Limeball Library. It's about 7 acres here. So that's $170 to $175 million investment. It would include some. Let me do my math real quick. 300 residential units. Mm-hmm. It would include a 100. We think now the hotel has been tied down. 125 rooms, a Tapestry Collection hotel by Hilton
brand.
It will include 30,000 square feet of retail and office, and 715 structured parking spaces. To go back to your question about downtown parking,
you see a grocery store. I mean, people who lived. That was an issue in downtown Nashville with all the rise, the problem of bringing grocery stores.
As he talks about grocery stores, one of the things, and we're not even talking about this section of town, but, with Kroger leaving over there off of MLK Boulevard, we have still explored that opportunity of getting another grocery store over there.
And I think that, and the analysis of that is the residences drive the market.
Yes.
Right. So
literally.
Right. So if we put 1,000 new rooftops in the downtown area, typically we see 2 to 2.5 people per household citywide. It'd probably be closer to 2 in the downtown area, but that's that's 2,000 additional.
And that
All
has
residents.
and Sam, just like you said, that has the potential to make grocery stores and chains look at us differently then and want to move to our downtown area.
Well, I think the question I had earlier is their income levels and their spendable as consumers. Are they basic? Are they middle? Are they high income spenders? That all has an impact also on the market analysis.
Yeah.
So for the Broad Street project, we know that the multifamily will be market rate or higher.
Yeah.
And so that's going to drive a certain
Clientele.
Financial circumstance, certain income level. We know the price of the condominiums, where those will have to be, and that'll also be driven by the financial ability to purchase that condominium. So those two parts of it,
major factors,
will be I would say mid to upper. Just because of financing. I think there's some opportunities in some other parts of our downtown area to look at some more workforce housing, affordable housing, working with the housing authority or some other programs, really it really gets down to the cost of development.
Yeah.
And that's what's driving the cost of the residential.
Your time frame, is there a tentative time frame for beginning, middle, and completion?
So for Project Keystone, they have about 6 months worth of approvals that have to happen.
Yeah.
Following that, they would actually purchase the real estate from us, and so in about 6 months from now.
Oh, it's close.
So that put us in spring of 2024, and then the next things there would be building a new home for WGNS. That's their first task. WGNS is a privately owned parcel in that 7 acres, and so part of the development agreement is to build a similar sized office, although maybe a little more modern than what we have here today.
And they will be celebrating in 2024 40 years under Bart Walker.
40 years under Bart Walker, and then
awesome.
Yes, and then 75 or something like that in our community. But so that transaction has to happen early so that WGNS can have a seamless relocation from where they are today to across the street. It will still be on South Church, really almost opposite side of South Church. From
I always thought it would be good in the hotel lobby.
There you go.
The radio station's in a hotel. I'm thinking in Opryland Hotel, and so we wave at all the guests. Final question before we go on Kurt's number of announcements of new things. You're an engineer by profession, by education, by trade, by practice. I think of Franklin with all that they have done downtown in their square and the residential infill that's been built there. How do you see traffic flow coming to and from downtown as a result of the plans, dreams, and hopes?
Yeah, so our downtown parking and mobility study took a look at that, and so the downtown area has a gridded street pattern. And so for circulation in the downtown proper, that gridded street pattern gives you every block an option, an east-west option and a north-south option. And so it's what I would call distributed connectivity. Okay. Now, we do have the major arterials with Broad Street, Memorial, MLK, and Highland kind of serving to bracket our downtown. And those have adequate capacity according to our transportation plans to do that. Where I think there's lots of room for improvement would be on traffic operations, and I would contrast that to more roadways. This is more the efficiency and effectiveness of our operations, and generally that's going to be intersections and signals and conflicts in movements, left turns being the most highly conflicted turn that we use. And so with projects that I'll tell you about now, associated with Project Keystone, that will address traffic operations, Vine Street and Front Street gets relocated somewhat and signalized, and so that allows for protected turns out of the bottoms and protected turns out of the downtown area. Historically, that intersection's been a high accident intersection for us. So mostly fender benders, but what it does, it just disrupts that traffic when you have emergency vehicles and
psychologically people will avoid it knowing that there's a potential chance.
So, but the other thing that downtown living does is it has the ability to disconnect you from your automobile.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we reduce trips by having, those daily services and daily routines walkable, then you're going to walk rather than drive. And a lot of planners, landscape architects would say that if that activity is more than a quarter mile, you're probably going to drive.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got to be aware of that and making sure that there are services and spaces and places available so that you're not married to your automobile, and you can actually leave your home and walk to the restaurant, walk to maybe your employment, maybe the grocery store. Town Creek is another big project, and we think that has a high value pedestrian connection, and that's really going to be the outdoor recreation space for our downtown dwellers, linking that up with the greenway. And so it gives you the opportunity to walk and bike, walk your dog, maybe get outside for a period of time when you do need some activity away from the inside of your building.
Fresh air.
We just signed the contract with TDOT for a $1.4 million grant to build a pedestrian bridge, and Kurt referenced this earlier, build a pedestrian bridge over Broad Street at Church Street. And so that gives you the ability to then walk over Broad Street, which is 40,000 cars per day. That's not a challenge that most people are up to.
Correct.
Yeah. And so this gives us the ability to eliminate that conflict of transportation movements, pedestrians with automobiles.
Kurt, you have a number of new things that are blossoming in this
it's
city
not
of
me,
Murfreesboro.
it's this great staff that we got.
I know,
so,
but do you want to share some of those?
Yeah. So before we hit that, so Sam, let's give them an idea. So we know the radio station, this building's going to be moving, but we're going all the way up from City Hall, the corner of City Hall, all the way up to the water plant.
Yes, the water department.
Water department.
And that's a scrape and replace. And so
I just wanted to give them a idea.
That's what I was
and
looking
big
for.
picture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we talked about Med Center Parkway, and we tagged that the gateway when that project and that area was envisioned in 2003 and 2004 and put on a plan. And this is going to be the front door to downtown.
Yeah.
And what's there today, and they've served their purpose for our community over time, but the water building was built in the 70s. The old City Hall was probably built in the 50s or 60s with when Broad Street was actually built through here. We have an old Parks and Rec warehouse. Police department was built in the 70s. And so some of those buildings have exceeded their useful life, exceeded their practical life. And right now it's not a very pretty front door.
Yeah.
And Kurt referenced that. And so this gives us a chance, even though when you get one block off of Broad Street and you get around the square and you get in the old storefronts and you get to see City Hall and Civic Plaza, the new judicial building, the historic courthouse,
historic downtown district,
the downtown district, it feels different than Broad Street.
Yep.
And so we want to extend that downtown to Broad Street and across Broad Street into the bottoms, and create that new front door and that new gateway into the downtown. And so that activity, the Broad Street project moving forward, I think will create a lot of interest in some other activities in the downtown and in the bottoms,
including the corner of Church and Broad by McDonald's, the empty lot.
Well, so that's Town Creek Phase 1.
Oh, okay.
And so that's an infrastructure replacement project, and I don't know if we've drawn that out for you, but from Murphy Springs down to the corner of Church and Broad, there's 400 feet of creek that's actually in a pipe. That pipe is now 70 plus years old. like a lot of 70-year-old things showing its age. And so we have an engineering question. We were faced with an engineering question several years ago. Do we replace that where it is, or do we do something different? And so we made a decision to do something different in there. City bought those corners, and so we're going to daylight that part of Town Creek. That gets us away from pipe and concrete and corrugated metal that doesn't have a useful life.
Opens it up, yeah.
And it opens it up, and then we're able to turn that into a green space, amenitize it with walking trails and other things, make it comfortable, have shade there, and so that then also connects us to Murphy Springs, and so we have this connected outdoor pocket park space that's going to start at Murphy Springs, and it's going to continue along Town Creek over to Cannonsburg, and there you connect to the Lytle Creek Greenway and 20 miles of city greenway and city open space that'll be available. But locally, you'll have those resources in the downtown area.
Second to none. Kurt, so what's happening in Murfreesboro?
There's a lot. There's always something going on, which is good. As you drive by Medical Center Parkway, everybody wants to know what's going on over there, and that's Clary Park that's coming. That's going to be a mixed-use development, and one of the first buildings that they have at the very front of the entrance is Firebirds restaurant that's in Franklin. Is it in Brentwood too? Or
I think it is.
I know it's. I definitely know it's in Franklin, but it may be in Brentwood as well. So that's another new restaurant that's coming to town. Also, is Drake definite?
Yeah, I'm not sure if they've finalized their plans to come here.
But
yet
they're
or not.
considering. They've looked at us plenty of times, and I think they're coming. I'm not for sure. PF Chain is definitely. They're going to be coming out to that area as well. I think with what you're going to see is you're going to have a lot more traffic out at Medical Center, but you're going to have traffic within a compound. Everything's going to be combined where people are going to be living there. They're going to be rooftops, but they're going to be able to walk to where they eat. They're going to be able to walk to shop. They're going to be able to walk to do a lot of different things. Not to say that we're not going to have more cars on the road, but it also gives an opportunity. One of the things when I lived in Florida, you live where you work, and you had a grocery store in the community. You didn't have to leave out of the community.
Correct.
And that's basically what Clary Parks does for them over there.
That's right. I mean, it reduces trips, or it reduces the length of trips.
Yeah.
And so, one way to help us address traffic is to build more lanes. Another way is to reduce trips. And so, by doing mixed use and having those routine activities and neighborhood services available to you within walking distance, or even within a short drive that doesn't require you to get on Medical Center Parkway or I-24 or Old Fort Parkway to get to that service, it benefits our whole community.
So we got a grocery store chain coming?
I don't know that that's been a
public
confirmed
announcement
yet or not, but
it's in the mill.
It's in the mill. Yes.
Okay.
And I'll let the folks that are sponsoring those projects have the opportunity to introduce them to us. But
not that one. The other one.
There's there's
the one that's already been approved.
We have Hy-Vee who was
exactly.
approved at Memorial and Haynes Drive, and also a location at Barfield and New Salem Highway, and we get a lot of the first contacts when retailers are looking to move to Murfreesboro, expand. But I can tell you that several grocery chains are looking at Murfreesboro now for opportunities, and it would cover the variety of grocers that are in the mid-state area.
Could you? I feel like I'm interviewing you now.
This is good.
Yeah. Hey,
I feel like I'm at this council meeting.
I love this council staff relationship.
Yeah, Mr. Holderson, could you tell us how's the project Buc-ee's? Have they broken ground yet?
Buc-ee's is they broken ground at Joe B. Jackson and Elam Road. A lot of work there to do early before they can actually start on the stores. A lot of infrastructure work. For those familiar with that area, we've got to relocate Elam Road about 1,000 feet west. It's going to improve our traffic at Joe B. Jackson. That's a big benefit for our community.
Awesome.
Include a signalized intersection with Elam Road. We've had calls really almost since we opened Joe B. Jackson Parkway interchange to signalize Elam Road, but it's really too close to the interchange. So this gives us an opportunity to do that. Buc-ee's is projected to open first quarter 25 was the update we got last week.
All right. Can I ask one more thing?
We'll be right back.
All right.
Well, quick minute, and we will have Councilman Wade full speed.
Hi, this is Chip Walters with Exit Realty Bob Lamb & Associates. You might know me as the voice of the Blue Raiders, but I want to be your trusted advisor in real estate. Whether you're buying or selling, it's time to choose Chip. Do you have a growing family and need to upsize? Are you an empty nester now and need to downsize? Are you thinking of selling your current home but just worried you can't find something else? Well, it's time to choose Chip. I'm looking to be your trusted advisor in real estate. I'm Chip Walters with Exit Realty Bob Lamb & Associates.
It's a Slick Pig barbecue, spicy wings and Brunswick stew, everything made fresh for you at the Slick Pig barbecue. There's lean smoked turkey and chicken too, ribs so tender don't need to chew. Well, come on folks, I'm telling you, it's a Slick Pig barbecue. In 1920 East Main, you're gonna love the pig.
The Slick Pig Barbecue, a Murfreesboro tradition.
Weight loss has always been a struggle for me, but thanks to Magnolia Medical Center, the semaglutide injection has helped me to lose 60 pounds, and I've actually kept it off.
Begin your weight loss journey at Magnolia Medical Center. Online at magnoliamedicalcenters.com.
Here at Bud's Tire, we make buying Michelin tires simpler. I'm Allison Mitchell with Bud's Tire Pros. We offer a straightforward approach to service, including nationwide warranties with every purchase. Stop in today to see our full lineup of Michelin and BF Goodrich tires. For whatever you drive, Michelin and BF Goodrich have a tire to fit any need. Bud's Tire Pros, hassle-free, guaranteed. We're located on East Main Street, exactly 3 miles from the town square, 1 mile past Rutherford Boulevard. Visit us online at budstireprostn.com.
Get pharmacy services with a cherry on top from Reeves Sane, Murfreesboro's hometown pharmacy since 1980 at 1801 Memorial Boulevard and at reeves-sane.com.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and worldwide at WGNSradio.com.
Third and final segment. I think we're going to have these two gentlemen back on Chapter 2, Chapter 3, and Chapter 4 because there is so much going on. Kurt, you had a question on veterans?
Yeah, we're going to hit a couple things right quick before we end. So, Sam, let's talk about the traffic light that's going to be going in off 840 Veterans, and then there's another traffic light that's going to be going in off of Veterans and what else?
Yeah, so 840 and Veterans.
St. Andrews.
840 and Veterans, right, is a TDOT project. They're signalizing those interchange ramps. Mm-hmm. We're also adding interchange lighting, and if you drive through urban areas, you notice that most interchanges are lit, and so that's a joint project between the city and the state. The state's installing that, but we have to operate it and maintain it. They don't operate signals, they don't operate street lights, but it really helps in the visibility at that interchange and also in the traffic operation. So it should be 6 months, I think September. They were slated to be activated in September of this year. Maybe a little bit behind on that, but
it's in the forecast.
Yes, well, the signal elements are up, the mast arms are up if people drive that area, so they can see the work in progress. Last week we opened or activated 2 signals, one at Armstrong Valley and one at St. Andrews Drive on that Veterans Parkway corridor. And that was built, years ago. It was a fairly rural section, but over time, those main intersections will become more urban, and we'll see those need some type of traffic control signalization usually to help manage those turning conflicts.
All right, and then the other big news I've been pushing for the last 2 terms on council is a park in the Blackman community. Can you give us an update and tell us what's going on with that?
So the city has 150 acres on Veterans Parkway, really just south of the 840 interchange. We've designated 95 of that for open space and park. We're in the middle of a conceptual design. Our goal is to break ground on some construction this year, which really we got a little bit of infrastructure work to do there. It's planned to be more of a neighborhood and community park, really, as compared to structured athletics. Scheduled athletics, this would be open space, walking trails, picnic pavilions, playgrounds, multi-purpose or flex spaces that would really complement that residential neighborhood over there. And at the last council meeting, we also talked, the mayor and council asked us to re-look at the 150 acres we have on Highway 96. It's about 1.5 miles west of Veterans Parkway, and so we're dusting off those plans. And Kurt will know that we have extensive work in our community investment plan. I'll tell you, we have $1 billion.
Wow.
That's with a B. $1 billion worth of projects on the list, and some of those are near term that we're working on for next week, next month, next year. Some of those go out as far as 5 years planned and scheduled. But then we also have some that are out years. They're on our radar screen because we know there'll be needs in our community, and so we're just looking for the right slot. But that number's, $1 billion near term looks more like something less than maybe 50 to 100 million of new project spending in the next 12 to 18 months.
Yeah. And going back to the downtown project, you need certain approval from Rutherford County?
So the Keystone project included tax increment financing. The basics of tax increment financing is that you use the increment in the property tax base today and the property tax at a future condition to help fund some of the infrastructure construction. The developer proposed that. The city and the Industrial Development Board approved a 20-year, $26 million tax increment financing package that will pay for parking garage and on-site infrastructure. Because that will also divert a portion of Rutherford County's property tax, it also must be approved by the Rutherford County Commission.
Is that coming up pretty quickly that you know of?
The activities were scheduled to go before the committee and commission in September was the last approach we had, and obviously that agenda's managed by the county. So we'll look to see when they get that on there. And the developer and the developer's team will be carrying that forward. The city's not asking the county to approve it. The developer is, and certainly we've gotten good feedback from the county representatives that know about the project.
I would assume that the county is very well aware of the assessed valuation increase by this project.
Yes, and and part of the tax increment financing package, the city and the county would continue to receive a base level of property tax on this property in that 20-year period. That would be a portion, roughly 20%, and about 80% would go to the funding. But then at the end of that 20 years, that 80% then returns to the city and county. And so the cities look at it was $1 million in additional revenue a year.
It benefits both parties.
One of the areas we haven't talked about downtown, entertainment, making it an attraction as you have had in the square with musical interludes and so forth. You see it becoming a focal point of bringing people together?
Well, I think that's what we're talking about when we talk about the bridge over Broad. We're talking about making the Bottoms area an entertainment district.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, we've talked about other communities. Most of them have entertainment. We don't have entertainment. We have entertainment on the square, but do we have anything permanent? We don't have anything like that. And that's what our vision is when we look at the Bottoms, is the opportunity to have opportunity for entertainment, not just once a week, but throughout the week. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what we're trying to do with the
Wouldn't
Bottoms.
that be a
Would you
neat
agree?
partnership with MTSU? And that even though they've got the facilities, that MTSU uses that as a venue for many of their students.
Yeah, I think
Absolutely.
the key to that is purpose-built. Anything we do in the downtown square area requires a lot of work to convert that from its day-to-day function to an entertainment space, whether it's a Jazz Fest or some of our
Whatever,
other
yeah.
programs. But having a purpose-built place that's set up for arts and entertainment makes that an easier venue and an easier activity to program, schedule, and activate.
Yep.
This has been a most informative. I hope all of you out there have enjoyed it as much as I have and appreciated it, because this is your community and your community looking forward to tomorrow. We've enjoyed having Councilman Kurt Wade here. A long second, Lacey's return, and we expect to see him return again and again. He has so much insight and passion for this community, as well as Sam Watterson. I'm thinking of the actor, Sam Huddleston, who is a recent assistant city manager, and expect to see Sam back as an authoritative source of information, which is very, very timely for all of us. This is Bill Krause, the Roundtable, WGNS, wishing you all a wonderful day ahead.